Good morning, Charles. How you doing?
Doing great, John. How are you?
I am doing well. I am excited to get to talk to you today. I know we had a little bit of time behind the stage before we got on here, but this is a super interesting topic. And as I've met MSPs all over and I've met people all over talking about I think what we're going to talk about today is the one thing that most people can't unlock, and that's the how to talk to customers about it, how to get customers to understand it, how to get customers energized about it. But we're going to jump into the meat a little bit later. I want to get to know you a little bit here, Charles. So first, I'm going to ask a few series of questions, and I want to let you just introduce yourself, and we'll jump in if that works.
Absolutely.
These are just some fun little questions to get things rolling off the block. What is your favorite way to waste 5 minutes, Charles?
Duolingo.
Duolingo? I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's wasting 5 minutes, but it's it's like, let me see if I can learn a couple of new Spanish words.
Okay, learning Spanish. Are you going somewhere to use the language?
I travel all the time, so it's always in need.
That's fair. That's fair. What was your first job ever?
Hauling hay, working for a farmer.
Very nice.
Yeah, long hot summers and sticky hay. Oh, it's horrible.
Have you always been based out of Nashville?
West Tennessee is where I grew up.
Awesome. One more question, then we'll let you jump in. Just jumping around. If you could teach a class on anything non-technical, what would it be?
Ooh, non-technical. Travel.
Travel. Yeah.
Yeah. Best places to eat, how to find the off the beaten paths, find the best little restaurants and be welcomed. And then just how I travel with my kids and how I've taught them to lead us and let them be in charge of the itinerary, as well as getting us around and navigating us through the different cities. That's a life skill that my kids now use in the real world. My son goes to Bosnia and travels. He's gone to Germany to perform and different things. And he just travels without even thinking about it now, because he learned the skills of navigating various cities in different languages using the translators app, so that's what I would teach.
I'm calling on you if I ever go on a trip, Charles. How many countries have you been to? Because I know you just got back from a handful of them. Do you know?
I don't. I've been to 6 of the 7 continents, so wow. I don't know.
What's your last continent on your list then, at least?
Well, we just got back from Amsterdam. UK, Ireland, and Scotland. We just did a little 12-day cruise taking us around. So I love to take a cruise because I can go to a city, see it, and it's typically a city I would never fly into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Shetland. I would never fly into Shetland in Scotland and go see that city, but I got to see it, and who knew the horses were there and, Shetland ponies. So who knew,
Well, I'm excited for today's show. We're going to let you jump in and introduce yourself. Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for tuning in. And for everybody out there that is tuning in, I know there's a lot of people interested in this topic. Ask some questions. I've got questions I want to ask Charles, but it's way more engaging if you ask them. Charles, let's get to know you a little bit. Give me a little rundown on yourself. Give me a little rundown on Nashville Computer and where you are today with AI. What are you thinking about? How are you using it? How are you talking to customers about it?
Sure. So I started here. It was Info Computer back in 91 when I joined. We changed the name to Nashville Computer, thinking that would be great. And it was for SEO. But as we've expanded and now we're in multiple states, it's like, okay, now we need to not be Nashville anymore. We need to be NCI. So we've kind of gone through that transition of name changing, if you will, and rebranding a little bit. So I've been here over 33 years. I started out as a part-time tech, and today I own the company. Bought it, took over about 5 years ago, but was managing partner for a while. I spent more time with Kerry than I did my parents. So he taught me a lot about this business, how to run it, how to really take care of your people and then take care of your clients. As we've evolved, we look at AI, what's out there. We've been using AI in our endpoint protection for a while, and various other things. When we saw AI hit the ground, we're like, okay, what is this? How do we use it? How do we do some automations with it? And so we started adapting some of the AI products that are in our marketplace. And so we're onboarding and offboarding clients using AI, running scripts and things of that nature. So we really started to embrace AI. And then when we saw that our clients are starting to use AI, I was like, okay, how do we go to market and educate them and talk to them about what AI actually is, how they can better use it? And, I mean, there's things that we don't know how to best use it yet, right? Like we're continuing to learn AI, and it's not just prompt engineering. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about using it internally first, which I think is a really common theme. I've heard a lot over a lot of conversations over the last couple, I would say over the last year, because I think that's really when people started leaning into it. But then you moved into clients after using it internally. Like, what were those initial interactions with clients about when you were getting into AI? Like, how were they reacting, and what were some of the challenges that they were bringing that maybe you weren't equipped to answer then, but are more equipped to answer now?
Well, I don't know that they had the challenges that they knew that they had.
That's
When
fair.
we look at it and say, okay, how do we do this? We get a large invoice, for our RMM agents, and then our endpoint protection, our DNS protection, all these different vendors, and then hunt the Huntress and some of those other things. You get all these different invoices, and then you look at your RMM tools and say, okay, do these things match up? So we started using AI to run audits on our systems to make sure that in the event, and instead of having an engineer go look at every site to see if all the numbers match, we just dump the invoices into AI, and versus what the RMM tool says should be out there. And we take the report from our PSA, and it comes back and it says, okay, these three sites, these devices have these things not on there or not up to date or whatever. And so we're using that as an audit. And so we're looking at that and saying, how do we use AI in our own processes? And then we go talk to clients and say, here's an idea of like what we've done with it. And then what are some of the processes that you do day in and day out? And where do you see that this might be a good fit for your business? Because I can't walk into my client and say, you should be using AI for this purpose, because I have no idea what their day in and day out processes are. I just know what their line of business apps are, what type of business they're in, things of that nature. So we really want to have that conversation with them and kind of, spitball some ideas around how we're using it internally, what we've done to streamline and take a 20-minute ticket and turn it into a 2-minute ticket by onboarding or offboarding a client. And then, when you frame it that way, it's like, okay, well, how could I use AI? How could my team use AI? And then what we're finding is they're bringing in other team members. And this is exactly what I did is full transparency. We use Hats AI.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did there is I had a conversation with Jimmy Hatzel and JP, and they gave me a demo of the product, and I was like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. Not exactly sure how I would use it in the business. I was like, can you show me? We've done this in the past, this in the past, and this in the past. These different people in our organization do these things. And so, Jimmy came back with a different demo. I invited my team from different departments and said, hey guys, I want us to do this demo on AI. And they were, as soon as that demo was over, we stayed on in a meeting, and they were collaborating. Man, I could use it for this. I could use it for, scripting. I could use it for, I could build an app to do this. And it was really cool to watch them. We decided to go live. We decided to sign up for Hats on Friday,
Yeah.
and we were going to be onboarded on Monday. Well, Hats gave us access on Friday, and they have 3 training modules in there that teach prompt engineering, persona, and various things, how to build an app in their platform, stuff like that. And it almost became gamified because the first engineer put his certificate up Friday afternoon in Teams. Well, then somebody else put their certificate up. And over the weekend, before Monday, everybody had all 3 certifications. So these guys literally just took it on themselves to learn AI over the weekend, going through these training programs. And, Jimmy called me up. He's like, dude, what the hell's going on? He said, we've never had anybody, go through the training that fast. I'm like, that's my guys. They're eager to use the tool. And when I look at the usage report, it's unreal how much my team is using it. Sales are using it to help, add empathy and stuff to, emails and help them, respond better and think through situations. It's how do you, the tech teams are using it for, I've got one guy that built out, like for the FTC safeguards compliance. You can answer the questions in the back. It already builds out the persona. So it asks you a series of questions, and then based on what policy you need, it'll generate a policy template for you. So acceptable use policy, you fill it out that I'm an auto dealer, I'm a CPA, or whatever industry you're in, and it'll write it tweaked based on that. So it saves a lot of time from the team. And like I said, the audits, they build an app. All they have to do is go in and upload their the invoices now and the output from the PSA, and the audit's done in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah,
it's amazing what this thing can do if you harness the power of it, right, and use it instead of just a glorified Google, which I loved using it as a glorified Google. Why do I want to go look through 5 web pages to find my answer if I can just go and say, hey, go find this and come back and tell me the best results, and I can get that in a few seconds. Why not?
No, I love that. It sounds like internally in your business you've really adopted, which it makes a lot of sense, because I think when I talked to you originally before we jumped on the show, you had talked about all the use cases. I love the finance use case, by the way, that you used there for billing reconciliation. So is that how you're breaking the ice with the customers? Is you're coming in and you're sharing with them what you're doing? Are you running into customers who are, saying, no, we're not interested? Or were you running into customers who are just like, not now? Like, are you running into challenges with customers at all? Or are all of them very eager to leverage AI? And how are you getting that eagerness to go?
Yeah, well, because we are the MSP, we can look to see who using DNS filtering. We're not spying on what websites they're going to. We can literally put into Zoros and say, hey, who's using AI? And it comes back. I mean, you have Copilot and you have some of the other things that are part of Microsoft. So it gives you that information that, clients are already using AI. Well, we start having the security conversation around that. How are you using AI securely? Do you realize that people are already using AI in your organization? And, there's a lot of stuff on social media about, here's 7 prompts that are going to change your world.
Yeah.
And, I saw one, and this is how people are learning AI, right? Like they're seeing a social media post that says, here, type these 7 prompts into Chat GPT and see what happens. Dude, one of them was how to save money and streamline your budget. And it said, upload your budget, upload your finances, upload your all the apps that you use, your monthly subscriptions, tell AI tell Chat GPT how long you want to how much money you want to save, and have it strategize and help you build out that budget. Well, in theory, yeah, that's really cool in doing that. And I would absolutely 100% use AI to do it. I wouldn't use Chat GPT. I wouldn't use Gemini. Why? Because I have no idea what they're doing with that data.
Yep.
I'm not going to put all my apps that I use, all my information, my mortgage company, stuff like that, right? Like I'm not putting that information out into AI for somebody to exploit that. I have no idea where that data is going.
Yep.
I don't know who has governance over that data. Whereas when we use something like HATS AI, it is SOC 2 type 2. It is, trusted and verified that your data is staying inside your AI container.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it is with like a product like HATS is that we're able to validate that the data is secure. But then when my engineers go in to upload a proposal and have AI help build out the project worksheet for that proposal, we know that information is staying inside our container. I can't even see the information that my engineers have put in, much less can they see what I've put into it. And, HATS is not looking at it because they're SOC 2 type 2 compliant, so they legally can't look at it. So from that standpoint, the conversation that we're having, John, is how are you sure that your employees are actually not leaking company data by uploading RFPs or client data or something else into AI, an unsecure AI, and having it analyze the data?
Mhm.
We have no idea where that data just went, right? Your employees don't think about it. And the fact that you're seeing social media posts telling you, hey, you should try this, and it's very insecure to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of influencers out there, and a lot of people get ideas, and they're like, "Oh, I should try that," without thinking about what could happen if I upload a document that I shouldn't have uploaded. You could quickly get that company out of compliance. It could be a data breach. There's so many things that legally could take place. Those are the conversations we're having.
I love it. I love coming in with the cybersecurity first approach. Brandon here asked a great question in the audience, and I'd be curious to get your take on it. What are your thoughts with company data in regards to Copilot?
Yeah, I haven't read the terms and conditions of Microsoft and what Copilot is and what they're doing with that data. Right. I haven't, sorry, Brandon, I can't answer that because I haven't read those, but I would definitely look into it.
I think that's the answer, though. I think the answer right there is whether it's Copilot, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Hatch, whether it's the next 50 different versions of AI, before even beginning down that pathway, it's reading the terms and conditions and understanding what they're doing with your data.
Yeah.
Is that
I mean,
a fair?
that is very fair, because when you look at Zoom, one of the first changes that we made in Zoom was don't let our data go outside the United States.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was during COVID, because we're security minded and focused. We have nothing to hide. But if I'm going to have a meeting internally with the team discussing information about our clients and the network infrastructure and a project, and sharing information on that call, the last thing I want the data to do is go through some other country. So
Yeah.
we changed Zoom to go only through the United States. And then we stopped using Zoom and switched to Teams, and using it in our tenant. And
Yep.
we don't transcribe any of our meetings. We don't have AI listening in and doing the transcriptions. We did have a client that had AI, and you had to install this little plug-in, and one engineer installed it, and then the next thing you know, it's pushing it out to everybody else. And then, I mean, it was almost like malware in itself. I forget the name of the actual product, but I came on the morning huddle, and it was recording the call, and then it gave a synopsis, and I was like, guys, this is not authorized to be used in NCI.
Yeah.
Nobody can use this. I have nobody's consent here that I can record their conversation. And so you really got to be careful. So Brandon, I would just tell you, look at the terms and conditions, see what they're doing with your data, see where that data is going, who has access to it, and then take it from there. Just think security first. Don't just trust because it's Copilot. I'd love to think that, hey, it's Copilot, but
Yeah.
as we've seen with Apple and some of the others, it's like, it's, and I go back, John, you think about Snapchat,
Yeah.
everything's deleted, right? It deletes in 24 hours. We found out that Snapchat wasn't deleting it after 24 hours.
Yep. Yep. Well, but you make a great point there in the sense that, like, if you come at it cybersecurity first, and you bring it not only and read their conditions and see where the data is going, see their retention, see if it's staying in the US. There's also a second layer, which you kind of got into there with Zoom, where it's like, all right, just because you adopt a tool like a Hatch or a Copilot or whatever it is, make sure you're configuring it right, because you could configure it to be more secure once you actually procure it. So just taking it out of the box isn't going to be good enough either. You really need to invest some time to understand the settings behind the tool there. In that case, maybe setting up data residency and limitations on where the data can go and things like that.
Yep, absolutely. And as an MSP, we are supposed to be the authority. We're educating our clients. We want our clients to come and have these conversations with us. Go to your clients and have the conversation. Let's be security minded first, and go to them as that trusted advisor and say, hey, this is our role, is to come talk to you about AI. It's also our role to make sure that you're secure and you don't have an incident where you have to, hire the attorneys and, call the cyber insurance company and get a claim filed and all that. So why not go ahead and take the approach of being that trusted advisor, have the conversations with your clients, which is what we should be doing anyways, and just go to market with it from that standpoint.
Charles, I love that. I want to switch into the context of the customer now, right? The way the customer feels interacts here. Have you ran into customers where maybe your least techie customer and you brought up AI? Like, how are you approaching AI with your very non-technical customers?
Yeah, well, let me tell you about an event that we hosted here. The event we hosted in the office, we brought clients into our conference room, and we brought in 9 clients. That's how many showed up. We called several, some were busy, whatever. We have another one scheduled, by the way, for 2 weeks from now. So we're not just going to do this one time. We're going to continue to do this, bring them in. And what we did is, we coffee, donuts, bagels, things of that nature, entice them, bring them in, brought them into the office, set them down, and gave them a demo of AI. Number one, they were curious.
Yeah.
What is AI? What am I going to learn today? How am I going to use this? How is, NCI using AI? And those are all things that we put in the emails that we're inviting them in, and as well as the phone calls that we made. And the thing is, when they show up, they come to learn. And so they're already interested. And so if they drove to your office and sat down in your conference room, now you're having a one-to-many meeting. It's not a one-on-one meeting. So it's a time saver, number one. Number two, you're bringing your clients together. You'd be surprised how many of your clients know each other and you just don't know that they know each other.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's really cool to watch them network and talk and, get caught up on times since they haven't seen each other. Mm-hmm. But, we had a gentleman in, and he was like, he said, I just don't know how I would use AI. He said, my chemist, I don't know if they use it. And some of the stuff that we do is very proprietary. So, we pulled up Zoros and we're like, it looks like your chemists are already using it. And so, he was leery in the beginning of how he might use it within his organization. But then we started talking about, how do you track things? How do you verify things? How do you validate, even product inventory? If you get inventory in, inventory out, and you get invoices in, and you can create an app inside of AI and it can consolidate and run that for you, like we're doing with our endpoints and our security stack agents on all the devices, right? If we can do it that way, then it gets him to think, how can I do that in my own organization with my parts and pieces and things? And by the end of the conversation, he himself personally will probably never use AI. However, his team will. And that's the key. One of the ladies was here and she was like, we do a lot of things on paper and things are still, we still do a manual process on a lot of things. And so we started talking a little bit more in depth of what that looks like. And just, what you're doing is you're not telling them what they're going to use AI for. You're giving them ideas around what it could be used for.
Yeah.
And one lady had 2 of her employees here and they just started brainstorming right there. And they're like, oh, we could even use this for this client that we have to do this process for. And so it's a manual process that they do for a lot of their clients. If they can automate that and streamline it on their side, she was saying we could take on more clients without having to take on more employees. And so really you want to just have that conversation with your client and see how they can adopt it. Like I said, you're not going to know what the day in and day out of their business is. You're going to know what line of business apps they use.
Yep.
You're going to know what industry they're in. But then if we get somebody in the financial sector and we're like, you could use it for this, and we get ideas from one financial client, then we can mention that to another client.
Yep.
We're not telling them, hey, this client's doing this. We're just saying, have you thought about using it for this scenario? And then based on that, you could do a lot of automation with it.
I like that. I'm going to repeat back some things I heard and learned here. One thing that I think is interesting that you mentioned is your stakeholder may not be the actual user. It might be the downstream folks. So finding ways that maybe they can be engaged either in the conversations or before the conversations or in some way actually interacting, because you're right. Like if you're working with the CEO and they've been, at a law firm for 30, 40 years, they're probably not going to be the one that wants to adopt AI, but the younger next generation lawyers that are coming in may. And so how do you interact downstream? I think it's a really interesting challenge to solve. You talked about in your outreach to invite them out to the demo, when you're sending those emails and having those calls, make sure you're including the ways that you're using it. Just expose the ways that you're leveraging it to get them going. And then I like the last thing you talked about is like, I put down, build a customer repository of use cases so that your team can just kind of fire them off as they go. When you did that hosted show or that hosted demo, did you offer any like exercises or questions or any ways to start really facilitating that brainstorming with their customer? Was there any like magic question that when you're going to get to ask them that it's going to unlock some ideas?
No, we did, and that's a great idea though. I should think back through like some of the conversation that was had. One thing that I will say is there was a lot of questions and a lot of questions around use case. Could you use it for this? Could you use it for that? We even went into a little bit of, I'll say an aha moment for me. And this is Jimmy Hatzel did this because he actually did the demo for our clients. He went and showed this really complex app and all the things that it does. And he says, but you're not going to build that today. And then he started with like the most basic thing of building the persona, putting in the framework of what you want it to do. And he said, you'll start off like this, but he said, you're going to get so used to using this that you'll be able to build that in the future. You don't sit down in a car and know everything about every button, when you're 15 years old and you got your learner's permit. You're not going to know what everything does, right? Like, my assistant had a flat tire in his dad's truck. And I'm like, do you know how to change the tire? And he said, well, there's no spare. I'm like, have you looked under the bed of the truck? Right. Like with years of experience and having been through changing a tire, I know the process. He's like struggling with it. You're going to struggle in the beginning, but don't think that as a struggle, right? Like take it, embrace it. Everything that we know today, we're this many years old today, and we have this much knowledge because we've taken time over the years to learn it. You ask me what I do in 5 minutes a day, right? If I had 5 minutes to waste, open Duolingo. I probably know 100 words now where I knew 3 before. So, it's a little at a time. And AI is the same thing. The problem is if you don't embrace it today, and if you haven't already embraced it today, you're already behind. And your employees are using it. So why are you letting them get ahead of you? And you're not going to be able to have these conversations with them if you're not understanding. AI has drastically changed in the last 6 months. I mean, Chat GPT used to be just go in and ask a question. Now it can draw pictures for you. It's got videos that it can create, and if today is the day. All right. Don't wait for tomorrow. Today's the day. Start looking at it, start playing with it. Don't put anything secure in it. But really you gotta just start embracing this and having conversations with your team and ask them, hey, are you guys using AI today? It's okay if you are. I just want to know, what are you guys using it for? How are you using it? And is this something that we should bring into our company? Because I would rather have that conversation and know that my team's using AI than to suspect that they're using it and I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. Always being curious and always being learning so critical when it comes to AI, because especially the speed at which it's changing. And I think one common theme I hear from a lot of businesses that have been successful is a transparent culture around AI, being able to, communicate what you're using and have the ability to experiment. One last question before we head to the ending kind of wrap up series of questions here. You talked about the demo and bringing people in for a donuts and coffee, and that's my style, man. I love me a good donut and coffee session. I like getting in person, so I get that. But are there any tactics or tricks that you've also learned are good to get customers engaged around AI? Like any other ideas that you've used or implemented, or even maybe thinking about doing?
No, it's really, John. It's just having that conversation. Right? If you don't have the conversation, you don't know if they're using it. We can go look at their DNS and say, yes, they're using it, but then it's having that conversation with them. And it's like, hey, can we spend, 5 minutes just talking about AI? And if you want to do a demo, then I would love to do a deeper dive with you. And that's where I like the coffee and donuts, is because you can do a one-on-one demo, and let's say it's a 30-minute demo, and you can do that 9 times, and you're going to spend a lot of time. If you bring your clients together and do that demo, even if you did a webinar and they didn't come in the office, you're still doing that demo. And you could record it to where they can watch it on demand when they're available to watch it. Right. And so, yeah, to me, it's I don't really have any tactics or things, I mean, the strategy that we used is let's just go have the conversation. Right. And the tactic is open the conversation.
Yep. I like it. But even recording for on demand later, that's a great little tidbit that somebody might not think about that now they'll walk away with going, okay, now we got a playbook. We're going to invite our customers. We're going to talk about the ways we're using it when we're inviting our customers. We're now going to hold them into our office. We're going to have coffee and donuts. We're going to do a demo. We're going to do maybe a little workshop to create ideas. We're going to do all of this recorded. We're going to wrap it up and present it back out. And now you got a little bit of playbook for somebody out there that walked in today having no idea how to do it. So I think that has been tremendously helpful.
Well, I think my takeaway from that, John, is I need to challenge my team to say, okay, let's go back to the CPA that's adopted it, and let's talk about use cases for them. Yeah. And then create a demo around what that looks like. Yeah. And then we go after the one that's in manufacturing, right? Then we go after the construction company, and we talk about how they've used it. Now I have on demand specifically for those different industries. So it's a way to better leverage our time. I mean, we're using AI to save time, right? Yep. So why would you want to spend more time repurposing or redoing a demo over and over again when you can repurpose that demo? Yep. And have your clients, you go to market with it. And the key is it's not about going out and making the sale. It's not about closing them. It's about educating your client. It's letting them know that you are that trusted advisor. You're the thought leader in the industry, right? It's nourishing that relationship with them. And then you're the person that they're going to reach out to, right? And so you want those conversations. And I want to educate my clients, even if they don't buy Hats AI through us and they end up going to something like Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever. I at least want to be the person that has educated them on the dangers of what not to upload into chat or, into AI. And at the end of the day, I've always told our salespeople, our goal, our job is to go out and educate. And if the client chooses to go somewhere else, then that's up to them, or the prospect, that's up to them. But at least we did our job by educating. So if you have the heart of a teacher, go out, educate your clients, let them know what AI is, how you're using it, how they could use it for their business. Ask them questions that might get them thinking about AI. The adoption rate is very high when you have those kinds of conversations, because they get it. It clicks. They understand.
Well, you're building a great relationship there too with your customers when you're that trusted leader. All right, Charles, we're going to wrap up the show. I've got a series of 5 or 6 questions. They're all rapid fire. You got 1 sentence or less to answer them. So you got time to think about it, but 1 sentence or less. The most overused AI buzzword that you wished would go away? Or phrase?
Yeah, prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. That one's kind of annoying. I get the point of it, but it is like such a buzzword.
People are like, so I have to go to school to learn prompt engineering? No, you don't.
We put the word engineering after it and made it sound way more complex than what it actually is.
Yeah, true.
Strongest or strangest AI question that a client has asked you?
I haven't had any strange questions.
That's fair.
Honestly, I haven't. Not yet.
Yeah, that's all right. One tech gadget you can't live without right now?
My authenticator app.
All right, I like it. Hey,
I mean, I can't live with that. I just swapped phones, and you know what a PITA it is to switch your authenticator from one phone to another. I mean,
it's completely true though. You can't live without it because you can't access anything if you don't have it.
It's one of the first things I had to set up.
All right. What's the most exciting thing, what excites you most about the next wave of AI in managed services?
Just what it's going to do for the automation and even security. I mean, people, you want to one sentence or less. So
That's fine.
the security piece of it from from both sides. Like, a lot of people are using this as a scare. It's the dangers of AI, and XDR is no longer, good enough. And I don't disagree with those statements. It is very true, but it's like, how do we use AI to help defend our clients and defend our own networks and save our data and things of that nature. So that's very exciting as well.
Love it. All right. Final question here, Charles. What's your walk-up song when you're going into the demo room about to present to all your customers about AI? What's your hype song?
Lose Yourself.
Love that's a good one. I like that. Like, I might have to play that after on as the closing credits. Awesome. Well, hey Charles, I appreciate you so much for jumping on here. Anything you want to share with people? Anything you want to share with the audience that's tuned in about what you've got coming up? Anything you're doing that's cool?
Yeah, I'm working on a training program right now for MSPs. It's based off the MSSP playbook that I wrote a few years back. So look for that coming out soon. And then one of the things I'd love to offer other MSPs, if you have clients that need a pen test, call me up, reach out to me, DM me, whatever, let's connect. I'm offering you 50% of the proceeds if you want to make some money off the pen test. It's a pen test that I would not have done. My team is here. We've got the devices, we've got the SOPs created. We know exactly how to do it. We can run with it. Just refer your client to us. We'll give you 50% of the proceeds. And so you can check out pentestcompliance.com, kind of get a little gist of what we do. And, from there, if you are an MSP or if you're, a client, you want to reach out and get a pen test, let me know you saw me on the show. And even if you come direct and say, I want a pen test, I'll give it to you half off, so there you go.
Well, I love it. From all the conversation we just had here today, it's clear that you are a very cybersecurity oriented MSP, one that probably is going to deliver a much higher quality when it comes out. And I've known you over the years and I've gotten to know you, so I can trust you and your business. So I would say that to other MSPs that are out there. Charles is a great guy. I'd give him a holler if you have any help or you need on the pen tests. Charles, thank you so much for jumping on. I know there's a lot of nuggets here. I'll write it all up and we'll get it out to our audience. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
All right, John. Thank you so much for having me. It's great seeing you.